afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate your presence and also being members of the National Mentorship Movement community. So, as we all know, our country at the moment, it's showing some cautious improvement. Our country's economy, some cautious improvement. However, the growth is too slow to address most of the challenges that we are facing as a nation. Even though that's the case, we as the National Mentorship Movement would like to continue to encourage all of you to collaborate where there's synergies and also to use the skills that you have and allow them to work for you, which is why today's conversation with Tshimologo Leburu is so important. She's a freelancing expert, a mentor to our social media lead, and today she'll just take us through on this masterclass on how we can monetize our digital skills. So Timo, over to you to introduce yourself and take us through.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I am Tshimologo Leburu, as Vamo mentioned. I am a creative strategist. I've been a freelance creative strategist for about 5 years now. And then I also went on to found a company called Virtual Africa, where I have a team of African freelancers, where we basically work with companies within the UK and the US, and Dubai, and just across the world. So far, in my experience, those are the countries that I've worked with. I've worked as a freelancer for 5 years, doing things like social media management, content development, brand development, and all of that was self-taught. Up to so far, I've managed to make about $500,000 in my career just freelancing, and that was just to show that this is a career path that people can actually stabilize and make a living off of. So that's what we will be going through today. We're going to be learning about digital skills. We're going to be learning about digital skills that companies pay for, where to earn high income skills, what freelancing actually is, because I know that it's still something that's relatively new as a concept. So we're just going to go through a bunch of content and learn the different skills that come with freelancing. There's a whole lot of content to go through. So if there's any questions, we'll probably have to save those for the end of the presentation so that we make sure that we go through as much content as possible. I'm trying to choose the present thing. Okay. Cool. So we're going to start with what are digital skills. And basically what a digital skill is anything that you are able to provide as a service. So that could be things like graphic design, that could be things like branding, that could be things like copywriting, social media management. A big one that people are getting into right now is virtual assistants. But as long as you are able to be on your computer and provide that service from your house and you don't need to naturally be there physically, then that is something that you can consider as a digital skill that you're able to give over to people as a service. So it goes into different industries. There's those in marketing, there's those in design, there's those in writing, there's those in business, there's tech. That's something that's been coming up, and a lot of people have been making quite a good living from that. So your web development, your app development, your data analysis, and then AI automation as well is one thing that's coming in quite a lot. As well as the more creative side, which is your video editing, your motion graphics, photography, podcasting, all of that jazz. So as long as you're able to provide a service from the comfort of your home, obviously package it and whatnot, and that is a digital skill that you are able to sell the next person. In terms of what freelancing is, you don't really need to be a jack of all trades. I think most people, when they get started, especially once they know that they've learned a digital skill, they want to combine all of those and give all of those out at the same time, which is something that kills them, especially in the beginning of their freelancing journey, because you need to be known or brand yourself to be known as one thing, especially when you're getting started. So you start with just one skill. You add a service, you then charge your rates according to what's going on in the market. Once you start expanding, that's where you go into building an agency and then you hire other freelancers. But it's a slow and consistent process that people are able to go through on a step-by-step basis. So where can you learn digital skills? There's different places that you can learn digital skills. I myself, I have a degree in international relations, but as soon as I finished that, I understood that I don't have I've never desired to continue on with studying that particular degree. I wanted to get into marketing, but I also do want to go back into, doing school again and getting a whole other degree. And so I started to explore the different places that you are able to learn things online. So there are the platform called Coursera. It's very well known, especially by top universities and companies globally, where you can learn short courses in different skills. There's also LinkedIn Learning, where there's a few like just more practical skills, soft skills as well. And there's YouTube. The thing with YouTube is you don't get a certificate. With Coursera and LinkedIn, you do get a certificate. YouTube, you're more self-taught, but the more knowledge you have, the better, because it's something that you're able to apply once you start marketing yourself to these businesses. The one that I personally took on was a platform called HubSpot. And what HubSpot is that it allows you to learn all sorts of courses, but a lot of them are marketing related. So I went during that period where you're done with school and you're just, kind of sitting at home trying to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. What I decided to do was then take on an online course, and I took on a course in digital marketing, and then went on to add your social media management and your inbound marketing and whatnot. And from there, that's when I started to package myself and sell myself to companies as a freelancer. And there's also Google Digital Garage. Digital marketing is something that's been coming up quite a lot. And so I see a lot of courses popping up that are focused on that, and Google Digital Garage is one of those things. So what you do is that you find your course. I would go to your HubSpot, your LinkedIn, Coursera as well. Coursera is not necessarily free, but they can give you funding. You have to apply for it and write like a letter of recommendation and whatnot. LinkedIn, you do have to pay for it, but it's like 200-300 for some of these short courses. And then HubSpot is completely free, so you don't have to pay for anything. And you get your certification, which then is something you can add onto your portfolio when you start reaching out to clients. So the first thing you do, you have your digital skill. You're like, okay, cool. If you have a digital skill, you can add on it through these platforms. If you don't have a digital skill, you can go back to these platforms and start looking for the skills that align with you in terms of what are you good at. It's not just your marketing. You can do, as I gave various examples, there's things you can do in writing, things you can do in tech. You can also do like accounting if you're good with numbers, but it's developing that skill and then being able to package it in such a way that you're able to sell it to someone else. So what the process would look like is that you would learn the skill, you would then practice the skill, you create portfolio projects, apply for jobs, and then eventually you get paid. As much as this looks like a one-way flow, there's consistency, there's time in between all of that, but that's basically what it looks like. So we're going to get into what freelancing actually is. Freelancing means that you're able to work independently without being employed permanently. So you don't have the benefit of a full-time employee, but you do have the flexibility to take on as many clients as you want, because you're basically a contractor. That's also another term that people use. You're basically a contractor who's being hired for their services. So you're the one who chooses who you work for, you choose the services that you offer, you choose your price, and you also choose where you work from. Some companies want their freelancers to come in, into their offices. Some don't. It's really up to you. You kind of decide what route you want to follow. I personally prefer to work remotely, which is why I chose to work with companies that are in the UK, US, Dubai, and whatnot, because I don't necessarily have to be there. but it does allow me the flexibility to work according. Sometimes it is according to their hours, but also according to the hours that I choose for myself. So that's essentially what freelancing is. And then why freelancing? Personally, I chose freelancing because of the freedom of it. I would prefer to be in a situation where I get to control my time, where I get to control how much money I make, where I get to control what I work on as well. Also, there's also the benefits of that. I mean, if you're working with companies that are overseas, with how the exchange rate is looking at the moment, it's great for you because you get to earn in foreign currency. There is unlimited earning potential because once you create a system that makes sense, obviously you can work with 500 people at once by yourself, but once you create a system that works for you, you start to increase also the level of income that you're able to receive because you have a system that works and you know these are the kind of clients that I work for, these are the clients I attract. Personally, I work with small businesses only. The reason being is because I understand that these businesses need assistance. Most of the time, they can't necessarily hire a full-time employee, and that's where a freelancer would come in. So as you grow in the industry and you get used to offering your services to people, you start to understand what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You start building your own schedule, the whole being able to work from, anywhere, although working from a specific place does help. Like I find myself to be more productive when I work from home as opposed to being just randomly anywhere. But I do have the option to be somewhere else if I want to work in a coffee shop or if I have a family situation and I need to go home. Work doesn't stop because I can just take it with me. And essentially, it's almost like running your own business because you find your own clients, you manage your own work. So it's like a small scale way of also learning or becoming an entrepreneur. It's very similar in that way. And then most people when they think of freelancing, it's like, oh, okay, it's easy. I'm just gonna get a couple of clients and then I'm gonna start, charging them, I'm gonna start making money. And that is true, but it isn't easy. That's the one part that's a bit off that people are not getting. It does, bring back results depending on how consistent you are and how disciplined you are. And also it is a competitive market to a certain extent because when you go into the market as a freelancer, you are in their eyes an expert. So they don't necessarily have the time to train you altogether. The only thing that they'll probably train you to do is maybe use their softwares because as you start working with all these different international companies, you start to see that each and every industry has softwares that maybe you may not be familiar with. So they are more than happy to train you when it comes to stuff like that. But in terms of just like the bottom line of how to get the job done, you need to know what that looks like. So that requires you to be constantly upskilling, which is why even if you find yourself with a digital skill right now, go and do more research in terms of if this is the path that you would like to take, what are the people in your industry doing? What's the hot tool? What are the skills that clients are looking for? What's in demand in that industry? Because that is the way you're able to compete with that. Another thing is you have to be okay with the rejection. So you will do some, you do some, you'll win some. That's just how everything else goes. Also, I don't think it just applies to freelancing. But a lot of people get started, especially later on, I'll speak about Upwork, but they get started on a platform like that and they send in a couple of proposals and then they don't get a response and they're just like, oh, this thing doesn't work. If you have that type of attitude, it's unlikely to work for you because at some point there will be a couple of rejections, and you stay for the long haul. Eventually, you will start landing clients, and once you do land the client, it starts to feel a lot easier because that then becomes your social proof that you're able to do this, and it reflects as well to other clients that they can trust you with their business or with their marketing or whatever services that you are able to offer them, depending on the digital skill that you have. And then you want to get started, you're interested, what do you need? You need a CV. When you transition from let's say you want to transition from a full-time job and you want to become a freelancer, when you do that transition, how you start to phrase yourself and the role that you played in these companies that you were in, it needs to be more from a leadership position. So every single position that you've ever done, it has to come from, this is the company that I work for, and this is the value that I brought to them. The biggest mistake that I always see people do, which is also something I'll address in the future about Upwork and proposals, is that they write about themselves more than they write about the value that they've been able to offer to these companies while they were there. And so what clients want to know before anything is, are you able to give me what I want? Because that's essentially why you're reaching out to them in the first place. So when you do your CV, it doesn't necessarily look like a CV that you would find in a normal job, because now you're basically a business that's selling itself. So you have a CV. If you are a creative, a portfolio, so you'll have all your work, all your case studies, all the things that you've done. If you don't have this, you are able to basically create work for yourself. I do encourage people to volunteer so that they can build this experience. But again, it depends on the time that you have. Some people don't have the time or luxury to volunteer. But if you are able to give work for free or do some sort of skill exchange so that that thing is added onto your portfolio, it will definitely work out for you in the future. A LinkedIn profile, you're a professional, whether you are in corporate or you're not. A LinkedIn profile is very important. It's your social proof that you are real, you exist, and you are able to offer these services. So on my LinkedIn profile that I've been building for years now, I only really started honing on it because of once I moved into my more freelance and founder role, I started to be more visible on LinkedIn. So when I apply for a role, my LinkedIn views increase because the first thing that they're going to do is go and see if I'm a real person and am I really the person that I say that I am? Do I have evidence of the companies that I've worked for? What post am I sharing? Am I giving any sort of expert insight on LinkedIn? So not necessarily a must-have, but when you enter an industry that is as volatile as this one is, everything that you can get that basically falls on your side, I always suggest getting that. A professional email address, it is, I think, 200 or 300 rand on Google a month, if I'm not mistaken. It is already investment. It shows up as when you are showing up as somebody who is a contractor or an individual, all these things in terms of how people view you start to become more important. So, as I said, the LinkedIn profile, a professional email, a signature at the end of your email, all these things play a role in how these clients see you as someone that they can take in. And so, having a professional email is just one of those things that helps you kind of land better with the clients. Because also when they see like a .co.za, it piques their interest of, oh, who is this? But I started off with a personal, normal Gmail and it worked out just fine. But this is just one of the hacks that I've seen that once I transitioned onto something more professional as well, it allowed me to land more clients. The reliable internet is a must-have because you're working from home. Some companies, when they've decided they want to hire you, or right before they hire you, they'll ask you to do a speed test because they want to know if you're able to provide them the right amount of time and you have the internet. They know in South Africa we have issues in terms of electricity. So some will ask if you have like a backup power thing. It's almost like having a remote job. These are the same questions that some of these companies will ask you because they want to know, is there going to be, obstacles in terms of you getting your work done? And then a laptop, it doesn't have to be anything fancy or a MacBook as long as it's functional. Then your Zooms and your Google Meets. If you're in an industry like mine, Canva or any other tool that you are using in your industry. And then the Google Drive is also important because you start working with several clients and you don't want to keep everything on your desktop just in case, God forbid, something happens. So paying for Google Drive so you're able to store all the data, all the information of all the different clients that you will accumulate over time. So that's just the basic checklist. I think everyone has their own arsenal as they continue to grow in the industry, but these are the things that you sort of start with, and then you grow from there. And then it's building a portfolio. So a portfolio looks different for different industries, but basically it's proof of the work that you've done. One thing about freelancing that I went to enjoy, yes, the certifications are right, so I'm not gonna say they're not, but the biggest thing that they want to know is, can you do this job or not? Can you do this? That's why a lot of them give you tests before they bring you onto the team, because they want to know if you're able to do it. So if you're a creative, you'll have a portfolio that has some of your previous work, that has projects, that has case studies, that has testimonials. If you're maybe an accountant, testimonials, or things that you are able to show, anything in your industry that allows you to show that you do have evidence and you are capable of providing the work that you're saying that you're able to provide. And then also, while you're building your portfolio, how you phrase those things, again, avoid making it about you, but making it about the value that you brought to the people that you've worked with in the past. And if you are creating something from scratch, as in you have no work experience, you've never worked with anyone before, then you still speak of the value that you're able to add to that person should they allow you to become a part of their team. So the phrasing of that is very, very important in terms of what you say when you are building a portfolio. Don't make it 20 pages long. Mine is about 5, I think. And I had to cut out a lot of the experience that I already had and just focus on the most recent experience. Because again, you need to put that person into perspective. When they look at your portfolio, what are they doing? If it's a job or something, there's no way they're going to look through 20 portfolios with 20 pages when all of them have 20 pages. So the one that is the most precise is the one that the person can go through, scan, and look for and see if you are what they're looking for, and if so, further the conversation with you. And then it's the finding clients part. So there's different ways that you're able to find clients. There's multiple platforms. There's different strategies, and there's more. When you get started, the more your strategy also starts to refine itself. So you don't just rely on the one platform. The biggest mistake that I've seen people make is, as I get into this again, I'm going to speak about Upwork. And that's where a lot of people, that's where I also get a lot of my clients, but I don't rely on just that one platform. People rely on just one platform, and sometimes platforms fail, or how the platform is being run changes. And so if you're heavily dependent on that, that is also going to mess with your income, and that's not what we want. So where would you go first? Or if you, let's say you're getting started, you're a freelancer now, you've built your portfolio, and you're ready to just, start speaking to clients. The first place is a marketplace called Fiverr. And basically what Fiverr is you decided, okay, no, I am a accountant, or I'm a social media manager, or I'm a lawyer. And you start to look at how can you package your services in something that you can offer once off. So it's not an ongoing thing. So if you're an accountant, maybe you're just doing somebody's books once. If you're a lawyer, you're drawing up contracts, or a contract that we just do business contracts for somebody. If you're in social media, you're just creating a strategy for them. But it's a once-off thing that you're able to put a price on, and then you take that thing and you put it into Fiverr. That's what Fiverr basically is. So you'll write the description of, okay, this is what I do. I'm able to offer 1, 2, 3, and this will be the result of what you'll get from that once I've done that thing. Fiverr is just a marketplace. It's like going to clicks. Even if you put your stuff in clicks, and let's say you're selling, I don't know, lotion. You put your lotion in clicks. If you're not doing anything outside of clicks to send people to go to clicks and buy your specific lotion, then you may not get customers. Being on that marketplace doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get clients there. So you still have to do some sort of marketing outside of the platform in itself, so that you're able to bring clients towards your profile. So some people run ads on Facebook. Some people, they use their community, so they do like networking on WhatsApp groups and whatnot, where they send out flyers to say, oh, this is what I do. And what Fiverr does, it basically like instead of building your own website, because a lot of people can't do that, it runs that whole process for you. So people can go buy your services there. They can pay for it. It automatically it gives you your money, but obviously because you use their platform, it takes a certain fee and whatnot. So yeah, that's the first platform that I would say I've had a look at. Is it my favorite? Not necessarily, because of the outside marketing that needs to happen. If I'm going to market myself outside, I'm not going to just market myself outside. That's just how I see it. But there's a lot of people who have found success on a platform like Fiverr. Another platform that's been up and coming now for about 2 years, 2, 3 years, is relatively new. It's called Contra. And what has made it very hot, I guess, is it's commission free. So a lot of these freelance platforms, they do take about a 10% commission from your earnings to pay themselves back for providing that platform for you. But Contra is commission free. I'm not entirely sure how they make their money. I think it's through subscriptions, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever money that you receive as a freelancer is completely yours. They don't deduct anything from that. What I found on Contra is really high paying clients. So if you want something that will pay you 30,000, 35,000 rand a month, that's where you go on a platform like Contra. So you go there, you set up your profile. It's very self-explanatory. It shows you all the steps that you need to fill in order to fill out your profile, put in all the skills that you need to put in, and then from there, all the jobs that are relevant to you will start to pop up, or you're able to look for them yourself. This is so if you are a person who is currently working on site and you want to just get a remote job, like a full-time remote job, Contra is also a platform where you can go and get a full-time remote job and work with clients in different parts of the world. But there are also freelance gigs there, so it kind of caters to both spectrums of people. And then there's LinkedIn. So here I said that LinkedIn is one of the most underrated client acquisition platforms. That is 100% true, because people see LinkedIn as just a platform where you apply for jobs, which naturally that's what it was made for. But over the years, it's become so much more than that. It's become a platform where you are able to connect with people, and connecting with people is where the most opportunities come from, which is why I'm not saying become an influencer. I don't want to become an influencer, but be consistent on the platform. So post things, post some of the achievements, post your thoughts that are work related, or post your opinions on the things that you have on the industry. Share your work. If you are somebody who is just getting started, let's say you're a graphic designer, for instance, and you don't have a company that you've designed for specifically, you can go and do a mock-up of a code campaign if that's what you want to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you work with that brand, but you're starting to showcase your skills and the things that you're able to do. And then from there, you go and you look at these companies that you want to work with, and you connect with the people of these companies. So you find the people who are the decision makers. I usually go for, depends on how big the company is. So if a company has about 1 to 10 employees, because you're able to see how many employees are in the company, I would go for the founder, or I would go for the CEO, because those people are like, there isn't too much space between them and other people in terms of decisions. But if it's a big company like your PwCs, your KPMGs, you can't go directly to like an executive. That person probably will not respond to you. You need to find someone who's closer to you in terms of who can get you into the gig, or the job, or the project that you want to do. So it could be an HR manager, it could be the head of marketing, the head of sales, the account manager, anything that is close enough to what you are trying to achieve. So you connect with those people, comment on a couple of their things, and they kind of get used to connecting with you. What what I've done in the past is I would go on LinkedIn, obviously there's the job section. I would then find the personal email, not personal, but work email of these people, and send them an email via the work email, and then also connect with them on LinkedIn, and then send them a connect on LinkedIn to say, hey, I hope you're well. I saw that you've got this and this open. I've sent you an email. If there's anything else you need from me, I'd really like to, be a part of the team or whatever. You curate these messages according to what you want. Now that we've got AI, you can use ChatGPT. You can explain to it what you needed to do for you, and then we take it from there. So LinkedIn is a very good platform, but you can't just use it directly the way it's meant to be used. You need to start to exploit other features so that you can optimize the results that you get from it. And then cold outreach. So cold outreach is reaching out to someone who's never heard of you, who's never spoken to you, who's not even thinking about you. And so when you do decide to do that, you need to be very strategic in the way in which you do it. As you become a freelancer, one of the most important things that you do, just like a company will say, okay, I want to sell a specific thing, and these are my customers that I will be selling to. It will be the same concept when you're a freelancer. You said, I'm a graphic designer, I want to work with companies in beauty. And so I'm going to go on LinkedIn, I'm going to go on Google, I'm going to go on Facebook, wherever, and I'm going to find all these companies and I'm going to reach out to them. So that's what cold outreach is. And that's where LinkedIn also plays a role, because if you want to work for a small business that you really like, you like how they do things, you want to become part of their team, then you're able to connect with whatever manager, whatever team member that's high enough on LinkedIn, and reach out to them through that. If you are, because some people on the information, the contact information part, you can find their emails there. That's where you'll find their email and then send them an email and say, hey, I really like 123 123. I've done some research on, how you guys do things, and this is how I think you guys can do things better. So essentially, when you're reaching out to people, you are doing a young intro about yourself, but not too much. Literally just one line, because you can't just jump into someone's email and you don't know who you are completely. So you do one line, say, hi, I'm Tshimologo, I'm a creative strategist. It already clicks to them that, oh, okay, let's see what this person wants. And the value you were able to give to them and the way you're able to help them based off of the research that you've done. Again, when you do this email, I always say make it as short and precise and to the point as possible. Don't write something that's too long, because also they might find it tedious to read. And also just try and be in the mindset of that person when they're receiving that thing and what they're thinking about when they receive that thing. So that's what cold outreach basically is. It does work. I was in a conversation, I think, last week, and someone was saying that it's shifting more from emails to now social media. So that's also another platform that people are exploring, which is the next slide. So using your content as your portfolio on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, creating, if you're an accountant, creating content that's about accounting that people don't know, Mythbusters, all these things, because it starts to establish you as an expert, using certain platforms. And then when these jobs come up, then it's easier for you to reach out to these people and say, hey, I actually have so much knowledge in this. And I would love to become a part of your team. This is how I would like to add value to, especially because how social media messages are so short. And at this point, it's still something that's a bit unexpected when you reach out to someone on social media. But again, it depends on the level that, as I said, you can't just reach out to an executive. They might find that a bit crass. And also, a lot of those people's Instagrams are private anyway, and they're logged, you're not able to reach out to them. But where you're able to find them is where you're able to reach out to them. Threads, I don't know if anyone is familiar with it, but it's like Twitter, but by Instagram. So it's a platform that's been created by Meta, which is now Instagram and Facebook, which is very similar to Twitter. So people tweet, then they say, they thread, and they write all the things that they want to write there. But a big thing that Threads has been being used for, which I don't think they saw that coming as the creators of it, but a lot of people post there and say, hey, oh my God, guys, I'm a small business owner and I'm looking for someone to help me with my books. I'm looking for someone to help me with this, that, and the other. So personally, I use Threads for that. I don't do much interaction on there, but I go on there every 2 to 3 days just to see what kind of opportunities are there. So Threads is something that is linked to Instagram. If you do find something on Threads and somebody is looking for the services that you are providing, then you're able to reach out to them with Instagram. And the likelihood of them reaching out to you is a lot higher, because it's also the unexpectedness of it. Doesn't mean that you will win that client at that time, maybe not, but the fact that you are able to get their, their attention, you're able to get them to say, no, I'm not really interested right now, but at some point, please do reach out to me again or whatever. That is still something that you can consider as a win. So yeah, we've got Fiverr, we've got Contra, we've got LinkedIn, we've got cold outreach, and we've got social media. Those are the other ways that you're able to reach out to people and start finding clients. Even if you're looking for just clients in South Africa, you can just look and do research for, the contact details of clients in South Africa and start implementing these same strategies if you want to work with them. And then the platform that has been my absolute go-to, it's called Upwork. And what basically Upwork is, it is a very big, as much as Fiverr is a marketplace, Upwork is one of the biggest freelance marketplaces where businesses go to find freelancers and where freelancers go to find businesses. So what I like about it is that it works a lot like LinkedIn, except that there's a lot more leeway in terms of reaching out to clients, understanding the job, and also I treat it as like it's like a lead generation platform for me. So what that means is that the people on that platform already know what they are looking for. You're not convincing them to hire someone that or hire a specific service. You're just convincing them to hire you at that particular time. And so when you get on there, it's very clear. Your offering is clear. What they're looking for is very clear. You're able to submit a proposal. They're able to look at it, and you take it from there. So my Upwork journey started. It started, I think, in 2021. Yeah, because it's been 5 years now. It started in 2021, and when I studied the social media management and digital marketing, I did that for about 6 months. Once I finished that, I started to brand myself as a social media manager, as someone in digital marketing, and offering my services in that way. That's when I came across the Upwork platform and I created my profile. My first gig, which took about 2 months to get, I think was only paying me 2,000 a month because I was working for 4 hours the whole month, or 4 hours a week, but it was like very small. But that was something that allowed me to, show other clients that I am someone that other people are willing to hire, and then take it from there. So up to so far in the past 5, 6 years, I have made about over $30,000 on the platform, which is almost about $500,000. I work with clients everywhere, UK, US. Right now, I think it's Dubai and Australia. Yeah, those are my main ones, and then there's one in the US as well. A lot of the contracts have been long term as well. That's another thing that people kind of are afraid of with freelancing. Like, oh, it's going to be short term all the time. There are clients that I've had for like a year and 6 months, something like that for 2 years. So it really just depends on how you set up yourself and what you want to achieve as a freelancer. If you want to work on a couple of short-term projects, you're able to just go for those. But if you want to work long-term with people, obviously there's the in-betweenness of like maybe you guys just don't have a good relationship, whatever. But most people go into it looking for someone to work with long-term. But long-term doesn't also mean that you just work with just them. That's a very dangerous position to be in because freelance contracts are not as they don't protect you as much as an employee contract can. But again, it depends on how you set this up. So if you have a freelance contract on Upwork are able to end very like right there on the spot. But if you say you're starting with someone on Upwork and you move them off the platform, you sign a different contract which protects you to say no. If they want to end the contract with you, or you want to end the contract, and they have to give you like a 2 months notice or a month notice. But a lot of companies do kind of shy away from that, because the reason why they want to hire freelancers is because they want the flexibility of being able to, you know, flip things around, bring in new talent, and also they don't have to pay benefits and all of that stuff. So you cover all of that. Once you get your money, you are responsible for your taxes. You're responsible, you know, to make sure that the money that you are making, or the skills that you're providing, and the income that you're charging for that, you're able to sustain your lifestyle with that. So it depends on how you set that up. I prefer to have multiple clients, so that each is like responsible for a certain portion of my expenses, as opposed to having one, because having one means that should something happen with that client, then unfortunately that ruins everything else in my life as well. You do get a lot of repeat businesses. I've gotten 2 to 3 clients that have gotten back to me. And it's clients that I've worked with in the past. So repeat business is something that happens quite a lot. And then there's people all over the world on the Upwork platform. So that's where you meet and you get to work with all these different companies. And then again, it's a lot of consistency. It's also being very careful about how you decide to apply for jobs or roles on this platform. So the first thing is creating a profile. As I mentioned, when I first started, I had to create my profile, but I had to curate it according to the industry and what's going on. So if you go on the Upwork, on the Upwork platform, what I would suggest is maybe after here, just so you can get a feel of it, is to go on the platform and see what it looks like on the web app. It's just upwork.com. You can just find it on Chrome. There is a section where you're able to go on the talent section. And by the talent section is where you're able to see everybody else in your industry who is basically providing what you are providing. But they've been doing it for quite some time now, so they're making a lot of money. And the first thing you need to do with that then is say, okay, this person is doing what I'm doing. They're providing the type of services that I want to provide. What are they doing so far that seems to be working? How are they presenting themselves to clients? What does their headline look like? What does their picture look like? Are they very clear about who they are? Are they very clear about the problems that they solve? Are they very clear about why a person should hire them? Because again, people have been freelancing around the world for quite some time now. So it is, I wouldn't call it a saturated platform, but there's quite a lot of people on there. So if you're gonna go and be in that platform, be in this market in general, it is a bit competitive, and you need to find a way that you're able to say the same thing but say it differently, because essentially everyone is just doing the same thing, but you have to say it in a way that stands out to the clients that you are trying to speak to. A strategy that I use for that, I like to create characters. I'm not everybody, it doesn't work for everyone, but I create a character and I say, okay, this is Nandi. She's based in the UK. She's a small business owner. She's only making this much per month. And this is where she's working from, and this is her business goals, whatever. And what that does is that it helps me understand who am I looking for when I go out there. Because when you get started on any platform, when you go on LinkedIn, it looks like there's just a plethora of opportunities available, which to a certain extent that is the case. But as you continue to refine your strategy, you understand that not every opportunity is for you, which makes it a lot easier for you to start landing in the clients that are more aligned with what you want, because you understand them and they understand you. So you go in, you create your profile, you do your research. Once you've done your research and you've looked at other people in your industry, you create your profile, put your image, make sure it's a professional looking image, a headline that is strong. So what that means to have a headline that's strong, Upwork works on algorithm. What an algorithm is basically is that it tells the person that you are looking for that you're looking for them, and it also tells them that they're looking for you, because you guys are putting in the same keywords, you're looking for the same thing, so you start to show up. You know how when you save someone's number, next thing their profile shows up on Instagram or Facebook or something. It's a similar thing. Upwork also has that type of thing. So using the correct keywords because the clients have their own side of Upwork where they come in and they put in the job description and all of that. There are certain words that are being used in those job descriptions that a person can use when they're looking for you. So when you are now setting up your profile, it's important to go back and look at some of the keywords that people are using so that when they are looking for somebody, you are one of the people that's recommended, especially because now Upwork has been around for, I think, over 20 years now. And so over time, especially now going into AI, they've implemented like an AI matching thing where once somebody puts a job description, it will recommend people that are more aligned with that job description that they are giving. And the only way that you can be recommended for that is if you're using the right words. So what would the right words be? It would be certain tools that people are looking for in the industry that you're in. So if it's again, if you're an accountant, things like Zero, for instance, if you're in data analysis, your Power BI, you know the different terminologies that are being used in your industry. So you make sure that in your intro, in your profile, in your bio, you say like, oh, I'm familiar with tools like this and this and this and this. I am able to do this and this and this and this according to what is needed in the industry. So there's different keywords for different industries. And it all boils up to the research that you are able to do with that. So once you've created that and you're good to go, you add your portfolio, which you should have created, previously before even starting this portfolio. You add your employment history. Because you don't have, so over time, once you work on the platform, you'll begin to have reviews. But because you're getting started, you don't have reviews, you are able to request testimonials from clients. So you'll send them a testimonial request. They'll write testimonial and then we'll come back and land on your profile. But one thing you can do as you're setting up your profile is your employment history to show that I may not have experience, particularly on this platform, because it records everything that you do. But I do have employment history and so on, so on, so on, so on. And then the biggest thing that people have an issue with when it comes to Upwork is I don't know if I should say a tool, but it's a currency called Connect. What Connect is, it's basically credits that allow you to apply for these roles. So I mean, nothing is free with these platforms, and so what these things are, they're like tokens that you're able to use to apply for certain roles. Each role has a certain amount of token, cost a certain amount of tokens. Some of them cost like 10, some of them cost 17, 25, 30 is the highest I've seen. And I think for $10, if I'm not mistaken, so that's about 170 or 180, you get about 150 of these tokens. Once you have those tokens and you bought them, these are the tokens that you're going to use to apply for these gigs that you see. So one thing is, once you've created your profile, it will show you all the jobs that are relevant because of the AI system now that exists on this profile. Once you put in the right keywords, you created your profile, you said these are the services that I'm able to provide as an individual, the system in itself starts to show you jobs that are in alignment, just like on LinkedIn. If you say that you're a specific profession, all the jobs that are aligned with your profession are going to show up. I mean, I'm in marketing. I've never seen something like an accountancy job showing up on LinkedIn. So it's the same thing with Upwork as well. Once you put in your skills, what you're able to provide, the jobs that pop up are the ones that are in alignment with what you do. Once you start to see those, that's where you'll feel like, okay, there's a lot of opportunities and whatnot. But again, it now costs you to be able to apply for these roles, which is why it's very careful. You need to be very careful about who you choose, what you choose, how do you decide who you want to work for? And it goes back again to being able to go to the drawing board of what does the type of client that you are looking for look like. So now you've done that, you want to find the right job. What does the right job look like? Because anybody can come on Upwork, just like anybody can come on LinkedIn and say, I'm looking for a person that will do this and this and this. How do you know that that thing is legit? How do you know that that person is not a scammer? How do you know that the tokens that you just spent 180 for, and a job is 20 tokens and you only have 150 tokens? How do you know that that is worth spending on? That's where there's a mini analysis that needs to come with that. So once you go on the platform, there are specific credentials that you're able to see that comes with each job. You're able to see whether a client has verified their payment or not. What that means is that they have linked their account to their Upwork profile. Should they hire you, there will be no issues in paying you. So I always suggest to people to go for clients that have verified payments only. There are people who have unverified payments because they don't see themselves being on Upwork for a long time. They're just coming there to look for someone and leave. So they put the job description, they do get a couple of applications, and then they speak to that person and say, hey, let's go off the platform, let's work off the platform. That's not necessarily bad, but when you're getting started, I'm not for it because Upwork has been around for so long that it's created a system that protects you, especially in terms of getting paid. There are two different ways to get paid. You can get paid on an hourly basis. So there's a time tracker that you need to download. I think I'm able to show it. I don't know if you can see it, but there is like this type of time tracker. And what that time tracker does is that it tracks your hours, and that's how, at the end of the week, it shows how many hours you work and it pulls the money from the client's account and pays on a weekly basis. The second way that you're able to get paid is on a fixed contract. So you and the client have decided that, okay, this service that I'm giving you is worth $300. They need to put the $300 into the account, and Upwork will hold it as escrow. So meaning that he cannot take it out, neither can you until you have finished the job that you guys have agreed upon. So it protects you in those ways. Because the thing is, when you're freelancing outside of a platform like Upwork, so if you're a beginner, I always suggest Upwork because of all these protection things that they have in place. When you're freelancing outside of a platform like Upwork, a person can say they'll pay you and you don't, and now you're waiting for invoices and all of that stuff. And personally, I've never come across that because of a lot of the clients that I work with. I first run them through Upwork. Once I've established the trust with them, then I move them to the platform. Some clients might be against that because as much as Upwork takes money from you in terms of commission, it also takes money from them. I think if it's a fixed amount or fixed contract, it takes about 5 to 10% from that amount that they have to pay before they're able to pay you the full amount. So some clients want to avoid that and just pay the full amount directly, which is fine. But if the client doesn't have any credentials off of the platform, I would suggest going for that. Another thing is looking for jobs that have clear descriptions. So how you would find a regular job description that's very direct, that this is the type of people we're looking for. We want you to have these skills, we want you to have these years of experience. These are the tools that we want you to have. Those things are very important because it really tells you what that person is looking for. Not every job description that you'll come across will look like that. Some job descriptions, a person will just say, hi, I want someone to help me with my books. That's it. Like there's nothing else. As much as you get it, you understand that person didn't put enough effort in terms of being specific about what they want. And what that can do is later cause conflict should you get this job, get hired. It might cause conflict because then there's a mismatch in expectations, unless you have that conversation with them before they hire you. But most of the time, it is a red flag because those clients aren't necessarily sure what they're looking for until they find that thing. And sometimes that puts you in a confusing position because how do you know that you're doing the right thing? Someone doesn't know what they're looking for. The third thing is matching your skills. So it goes back to the tokens and how expensive they are and all of that. I would say if you're gonna apply for anything, whether it's a remote job, freelance, or anything, if they're looking for 5 skills, at least have 4 out of those skills. If you don't have 4 out of those skills, especially in a situation where now you are basically paying to apply for this, I wouldn't suggest going for that because the less you have of what they're looking for, the less likely you are getting hired. And the point is to increase your amounts and your likelihood of getting a land in your first client. Then there's having the realistic budgets. So you will be able to see different jobs and different amounts that they're willing to pay. If somebody says I'm looking for an accountant and they say I'm only willing to pay $10, I wouldn't go for that person because number one, that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't market value. But again, that comes with the research that you make into how much is the market actually charging for this and paying for this. So if it is a mismatch in that, then don't go for it. And then the active client history. So when you open a job description, you are able to see the things that the client has hired for before. Not every client has a history because some of them just joined on the platform to look for a freelancer. But those that do have a history, you are able to see what other people that have worked with them in the past have said. I'm trying to like go quickly because I want to leave time for questions. So once you get your job description, it's time for you to, you're going to see a part that says apply. That apply part is going to take you to the proposal part of it. So what writing a winning proposal is basically just like a brief of what I've touched on a bit, not making a proposal about yourself. So you see the company, the person says, okay, I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the kinds of services that I'm looking for. Then you, as the person who's reaching out to them, you start by saying, hi, this is who I am, and this is how I'm able to assist you. This is your problem. This is what I'm seeing, how I can come and assist you, and this is what I've done in the past. If you do have experience, this is what I've done in the past to, solve similar problems to what you have. Because again, they want to know, have you done this before or not? Keep it very concise. Do not write a 5,000 word, essay about yourself or even about the value you can give to them. Because again, this person is going through, a lot of applications. And so if you're going to give them something that's very long and tedious to read, they probably won't. Another thing that you're able to see on the platform once you familiarize yourself with it, you can see how many people have actually sent in their proposals for the specific thing. It could go up to 100, it could go up to 50. In the beginning, it's about 5 to 10. I always advise people to not apply for anything that has over 10 proposals because you need to think about the fact that that person is probably just, sitting in their office or in their home and they want to get someone maybe within the next week or two. They're not going to go through more than 10 applications. And those are the people that you're also competing with. If you don't have connects at all and you really want to be very careful about how you spend your tokens, I wouldn't suggest applying for anything that over 5 people have applied for. It's just that then that really narrows down the amount of applications you're able to send out. But if you really want to push it, I would take it to 10 max because you need to physically see yourself literally standing and competing with 10 different people against only one person who doesn't have an HR, team to look through everyone. It's just them. So once they see the first 2, 3 interviews and proposals, then they'll probably make up their mind and be okay with that. The people within the last end, they usually get to those people if it's like a very rare skill that they can't find in other people. So it's better to, apply for something that has less competitors. And then you are now writing a proposal. Again, it's about this is what you're looking for. I've done this before. This is how I approach your project, and this is how I can help you. And then you just end it with a looking forward from hearing you. Some people say ask a question. I think that's not smart because I feel like that will confuse a person because you're applying for something. Why are you asking a question at the end? But it has worked for some people. But keeping it very precise that you want to hear from them is also very important. And that's usually, so I usually just end mine with, oh, I'm looking forward to connecting. Please let me know if you need anything else. But again, you keep it very, very, very short. Then the red flags. So you're on the platform, but you're just getting started. So you want to know how to avoid certain things happening. If the client asks you to work outside of Upwork, don't do that. I don't suggest doing that, especially if there is no, because some companies have like a website and credibility and whatever, and they're just using Upwork to find freelancers. If you come across one of those companies, do as much research as possible before you say yes. But I would start with saying no, especially when you're getting started, because also you want to build your reviews and your profile on Upwork. Anyone who's promising you future payment, I think regardless of wherever you are, don't do that. Again, the unverified payment method, because that means that their accounts are not linked to the Upwork platform. And so should anything happen, they will be able to pay you. Requesting free work. So this one is a tricky one because a lot of companies say, no, let's do a test first before I can hire you. And the test is actual work. that will be up to your intuitive decision making in terms of what you want to do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes clients take your work and actually use it and they haven't paid you. Sometimes they pay you extremely low amounts because they're just acting like it's a test, but it's actual work that they're going to use. So I guess this one comes with the more you experience the platform and also what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Clients that have unrealistic expectations. So if someone is saying that they're expecting a result from you that you know in your profession, it's not possible to do this thing in 2 days or in a week or in a month. It's going to take this, a timeline of this much. It already automatically communicates to you that that client is not aware of what they want, or how things actually work. And so that mismatch of expectations could end up, backfiring because now they could leave a bad review on your profile if say they feel like you're not necessarily matching up to what they want, and that review stays there forever. And what it does is that over time you gain a score on Upwork that ends at like up to 100% or something. So it drops that score the more you come across clients and give you bad reviews. And the plans that offer extremely low budgets. I think even if you aren't on the platform, if you're just freelancing outside of, clients that offer low budgets don't understand the value of the work that you offer. And so I would not suggest going for clients like that because again, now it's not like your normal 9 to 5. You are responsible in making sure that you're being treated fairly, you're being paid fairly, and you're being protected as well, so that you're able to create a stable income for yourself. And in terms that changed my freelance career, consistency. I never stop. I do have a couple of clients now, but I've never stopped applying. I literally apply every 2 days because of how volatile the industry is. A client could drop off today. I think last month I had a client just stop giving me work. It was crazy. And I asked, and I was like, "What's going on?" They're like, "No, we'll come back to you. We'll let you know." But now there will come back to you is like, okay, what happens to the income that I'm expecting to receive from this? So I always apply as consistently as possible because of how volatile the industry is. Not copy pasting proposals. Every single client has a different need. You can have a template in terms of the skeleton of the message, in terms of what you want to say to that client, but every single client has a different offer, has different needs. So when you send a message, it needs to address those needs. Responding very quickly. I have Upwork on my phone. I have responded to people in very crazy spaces. So I could be at a restaurant at 10 o'clock in the evening in America. That's like, I don't know, I think it's 12 during the day for them. So a message will come in and, I will quickly go to the bathroom and just respond whatever and say, okay, I can't have a meeting with you now, but I have my CV, I have my portfolio on my phone. I can send it to you immediately when I'm there. Because again of how busy the platform is with a lot of people, you need to be quick on your feet with it. So I always have the app on my phone to make sure that I'm able to communicate all the time. Sometimes messages, I go to the bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning and I see a message and I will respond at that time because in that person's time zone, it's during the day for them. Deliver quality work. Obviously, your work speaks for you. Communicating professionally, asking for reviews. Naturally, when a client is done working with you on Upwork, they do like Upwork pushes them to give you a review as much as it pushes you to give them a review. So it's built on that. But if you're outside of the platform and you're freelancing, just maybe through cold outreach and social media and the other ways that we spoke of before we started getting into this platform, then speaking to those clients and asking them for a review it's just like asking for a job reference. It's very helpful for when you're looking for the next opportunity. And then the last thing is that your reputation is your biggest asset. So someone can refer you, they know that you're good at what you do. They're not afraid that you're gonna, misrepresent them because you've built a reputation or a brand that's strong enough for someone to trust that you are good at the work that you are able to provide. And the final thoughts, you do need a valuable skill. What is a valuable skill? That's a very relative term. It's up to you, up to what you're good at, up to what you're interested in. If you're able to turn that skill into something that can make you money, do more research on how you're able to do that, which then goes into the whole willingness to learn. upskill, look for courses. There are universities that offer free courses in some of these things. Volunteer your time at a place, if you can, just so you can learn more things. Knowledge, sometimes you don't get paid in money, sometimes you get paid in knowledge, sometimes you get paid in experience. When you put those things together, at some point they will convert into something that can help you create an income for yourself. Putting yourself out there, don't be afraid to reach out to companies. If you are a freelancer, for instance, I've started reaching with South African clients as well. So if I'm in a situation where I'm at a networking event, I can go to a small business owner and say, hey, this is what I do, this is what I've done. I don't have a business card, I have a digital card. So I'll send them my digital card and it's a QR code, and they're able to, contact me and we can talk about how I'm able to assist them. So putting yourself in these spaces, especially, it is a market that needs you to be consistently pushing and working yourself to make sure that your income stays stable. But I think just how everything is economically, everything kind of is like that anyway. So the consistency of also just being able to show up in all of these different spaces, it can be exhausting, but when you can pick up the energy, do it as much as you can. Show up online, show up physically, send emails to people, be on Facebook, be everywhere, because that's where all the opportunities are. And then I guess it's also just understanding that the first client is the client that's able to change everything for you. The client that I got in 2021 when I was at home, luckily I was at home, so it was okay that I was only making 2,000 Rand a month, is the client that ended up opening all of these other doors for me as a freelancer. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening to me, guys. We are in the question and answer portion of our session. I think Zamomto, I'm gonna need your assistance here. I don't know if there's any questions in the chat and all of that, and I can get to answering those.
Thank you so much, Timo. That was quite valuable. I thoroughly enjoyed the session. I've taken a lot, I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our community has too. So yes, any questions or comments for Timo?
I'm seeing Neil and Clay.
Afternoon, everyone. I've got two questions. One is Upwork and Fiverr similar or is it the same? And if not, what are the differences? And what would you advise somebody starting out to do? And the second one is, so I've tried Upwork the past month and I've been writing proposals, but none of them are being viewed or anything like that. What could be the problem?
So Upwork and Fiverr, they're both marketplaces. With Fiverr, you have to market yourself. So as an example, I made was saying that it's like putting your product in a shop like Clicks. As much as your product is there, it doesn't necessarily mean people have to buy it. You have to do extra marketing to get people to buy or go on Fiverr and rent your services. So you have to create whatever kind of marketing that you can create to get people to. It's like having a website. It's there, but if you don't draw people to that website and send people to that website in some shape, way, or form, then how are they going to know that it's there? So it's there. When they start looking for someone in your industry or in the services that you provide, you will pop up. But the question becomes, what have you done so far to make them choose you? Then Upwork is it's like LinkedIn. Do you know what you're looking for? When the person is going there, they know what they're looking for. They're looking to hire a specific person. Now the job is for you to convince them to hire you, which is where the proposal part of it comes in. In terms of why your proposals aren't getting viewed, there's different reasons why this is. Number one, it's so when you're applying for something, right? The first three sentences of your proposal is what that person can see before they can open the whole entire proposal. You have to ensure that whatever you're saying in there is so jam-packed that it makes them want to open the rest of the proposal. Which is why I'm saying always start with the value. Like for instance, my thing says, hi, And I help businesses do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't even talk about me or what my name is or anything. So that immediately when they open, they understand the type of value that I'm able to offer them. Another thing is also doing like research in terms of what these people are actually looking for. Goes back to the whole keyword thing. Are you matching the skill set? Are you applying for jobs that you think you might have a chance, or you are sure because you can see what you have exactly what they're looking for? So those are the things that play a role in whether you get hired or not. I hope I answered.
Yes, you did.
I saw a question in the chat. Just gonna, which is a chosen platform that has made you build up that revenue for 5 years? Are you using them all? If how? Okay, so I've been using Upwork only. Not only, actually, I'm not being honest about that. I've been using Upwork mostly because that's the platform that introduced me to freelancing, that got me started with freelancing, that helped me grow on the platform. Because of how easy it is in terms of lead generation, everybody knows exactly what they're looking for. It's just a matter of you speaking to them and getting them to hire you. So that's where most of my income comes from. Other income has come from, I think one of my clients was a referral, and they were like, oh, this person's really good at social media. And, we connected and we've been working together. It's almost 2 years now. And then another one, it was a company that posted on Twitter. I don't know if companies still do that, but they posted on Twitter, they're looking for someone in social media. And I reached out to them, and that's how I, have been working with them. So I've used social media before. I've used outreach, the whole outreach strategy of reaching out to people via email, but the most that has worked for me is Upwork. I've invested a lot of money in Upwork. I've invested your 5,000 rands, your 3,000 rands, buying connects so that I make sure that I apply for the jobs that are right for me. So that's the platform that has done for me the most, yeah. Sure. Let me do that. Let me see if I can share with them. Profile. But yeah, if there are any other questions in the meantime while I share the link to my profile. Any other questions, comments, curiosities? Are we all good?
Going.
Okay.
There were no questions. It was actually clear enough.
Yeah, so see,
That means you either lost us completely or you were actually so clear that we're good to go.
that they understand everything.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys can see, just so I can give you a look of what the platform looks like. So this is my profile. I'll share the link, but basically when I started at $5. I recently went to 12 because of, again, I've done so many career developments. I made a post about this on LinkedIn, and I was saying when you're a freelancer, you promote yourself. There's no one to promote you. So I've gone from digital marketing to creative strategist, and just a combination of all the skills that I've done. So this is what mine looks like right now. These are all the reviews of the clients that I have worked with in the past. Goes on to a second page as well. And then this is the clients I have now that I'm currently working with. There's also the video marketing aspect of it. That's a whole other thing that I speak of in terms of just like when you send a proposal to people, if you can add a video, do it because people want to feel your energy. It helps you differentiate yourself. This is what my bio looks like. So at the very top, when I apply for anything, this is what they see this title, and then they see this beginning part of it, and then this services included part. When someone is creating a job description, a lot of these words are being used, and so I am someone that shows up for them. And then here is just a bit of the tools that I am familiar with, so I make sure that I add that. And then here is just the CTA, which is a call to action. to get someone to want to contact me. And then if, let's say I'm ready now to apply for jobs, all the jobs that are going to show are the jobs that are in relation to what I have set on my profile. So you see the career managers, the social media manager, social media specialist, AI content creator. These are all things in alignment with me. Then it shows me the most recent ones as well, the ones that just came out. So usually when I come in, I start here, I don't even look at this because already there's 15 to 20 proposals, which I'd say that already puts you behind. But when you come to your most recent, this is something that just was posted 32 minutes ago again, but the payment is unverified. So this is what I meant when I said, look at this type of thing. There's a payment verified and there's the payment unverified, meaning this client is looking for someone, but they probably want to work off of the platform because they're not willing to follow all the, needed things so that their accounts can be linked. You are able to come here to look for something specific. I usually search these type of things because this is my industry. If I'm looking for somebody, maybe I want an architect. That's interesting. I've never looked for an architect, but okay. So you can literally be, as long as you're able to offer this thing virtually, it can work. So if you do construction drawings and whatnot, you can, do that. If I'm looking for an architect, I'm able to, open a client's account and start looking for these clients who can help me with these things, especially if you are maybe in South Africa and you're starting a small business and you can't pay South African people because of also it's a bit expensive sometimes. You can hire somebody from the Philippines to help you. You can come here and look for them and whatnot. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So here's where you see if a client has viewed your proposal. This is where all the messages are with all the different clients that you've had. I follow up with all my clients. I always, if I haven't gotten the job yet, I will literally message them once a week, every week until they tell me whether it's a no or a yes. I'm very big on that. I'm not prideful. And then this is just what my proposal looks like. So when it comes into the inbox, it's like a message. There's something you can't make it too long. It just says, hi, thank you for reaching out, because they reached out to me in this instance. And this is what I do. Here's a video about me. And then they had a couple of questions, so I answered those questions, but I kept it very, very precise and short and whatnot. And then, yeah, that's pretty much what that looks like. That's pretty much like, yeah.
The video the link, is it from within Upwork or is it like a video outside of Upwork?
It's a Loom video. So Loom allows you to create a video where you can share a video where you're talking about yourself. If you're paying for the subscription thing, I think you can record up to however long you want. But if it's free, then you can record up to 5 minutes of it.
Okay, so in the video you just talk about yourself, your experience, and
yeah. So it's just a breakdown of, hi, this is me, this is the services that I can offer, this is the value that I can give you. The same thing that you would write in. So my videos are 2 minutes long, which also that's long. It shouldn't be 2 minutes long. About like a minute, 30 seconds, where you're speaking about the value that you're able to offer them, because they get a feel of your energy. They can decide whether or not are you someone that they want to move forward with. Especially when you are in this industry quite a lot, you will realize that in some job applications, they will ask you for like a video interview of yourself. So it's good to always have one prepared anyway.
Okay. And you did say you started with $5, and that was like 5 years ago. What
Yes.
would you suggest somebody to start with now in 2026?
So it depends on what you're doing. My industry, I mean, I'm in marketing. That's not rare. There's a lot of people who are in marketing. So there's a theory in marketing called market penetration, where you price yourself low enough not to out yourself, but then you also price yourself enough to penetrate the market. You become attractive to the market because you don't want to become too expensive, because somebody else could be charging $6, $7, and they have way more experience than you, and they're more likely to get hired because they already have experience and they're using all of that. So what I found is you need to do research in terms of what people on your level are charging. So when you go, you see how that I went into that talent section, you can see freelancers that are just getting started, freelancers that are experts, all of that. So when you want to learn how to price yourself, you will click on the freelancers that are just getting started and look at what they're charging. In the accounting industry, they're charging $10, $11, $12 because it's accounting, it's money, it's books. In my industry, it's about $5, $6 to get started. And then as you grow your skill set, you can go higher. So it really depends on your experience, what the market is looking like right now, and your lifestyle also. You can't charge $3. It's not going to pay you much because Upwork obviously takes a fee from that. But just charge yourself enough for you to be able to live. But also not to kick yourself out of the market. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm seeing a question from Krishna. What course kickstarted the skill set you're using? I took a course on HubSpot, a digital marketing course. Yes, a digital marketing course. It has everything. It had copywriting, it had social media, and all those things. So it was a free course. You just go on HubSpot. Let me see if I can get the link. Put it in here. So you just go on HubSpot Academy, and then you'll see like a whole bunch of courses. So that's the one that helped me get started. But I would suggest also going on Coursera. That's also another platform that companies are recognizing worldwide in order to get some of these, free courses that you can study from home in your own time and start, offering services to people. But yeah, I put the link into HubSpot in the chat as well. Okay, is there any other questions, guys? Are we all good? Do you feel like you've soaked in all this information? Okay, that's great. I'm glad. Yeah.
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 No, once again, Simo, I think that was very insightful. I think how like what I said earlier on, we're living in a time where we actually have to see how the skills we've acquired or are acquiring can work for us in different areas. So it was for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it, straightforward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was so valuable.
Yeah.
If there are no any other questions, we only have 2 minutes left of this call. I'm happy for us to call it an evening. Colleagues and mentors, mentees, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I hope you sponged as much as I did. And we're going to use some of the experience and the knowledge that were transferred to us today. But yes, please have yourself a blessed evening. And let's continue to value the skills that we have and see how they could continue to work for us.